The Control Profile Editor command can quickly create profiles and/or allow editing of profile values without the need for a graphical profile view. The Control Profile Editor command is developed and provided by WizDot. The Civil 3D profile object is generally intended for using station elevation information to establish vertical geometry and function as a graphical representation of roadway, rail, drainage, waterway, or other features. But Civil 3D profile objects can be used for more than these purposes. If a Civil 3D profile object is thought of as acting as nothing more than a numeric container at a given location, the container could be used to represent other values such as slope, width, elevation, or logical switches. Then this profile could be used as a corridor target and control various parameter values of subassemblies. For example, instead of station and elevation, a profile value could represent station and slope to create smooth transitions, or represent station and logical switch to activate or deactivate subassembly behavior at specific locations. Leveraging the use of profile objects in this way can reduce the number of corridor regions or the number of assemblies needed to convey design intent in a Civil 3D model. The Control Profile Editor runs in a floating dialog box, so it is possible to interact with the Civil 3D application while the command is active. The dialog box includes a minimize button, so it can be reduced to the taskbar if additional screen space is needed. Because the Control Profile Editor dialog box is modeless, changes in the drawing are not immediately reflected in the dialog box. Use the refresh icon buttons when needed to reread the drawing database and refresh the information displayed by the Control Profile Editor dialog box. Entering stations and values in the dialog box. Stations can be entered with the plus or without the plus. Station equations are fully supported. All stations entered are the stations with equations. Raw stations are displayed in the dialog box for reference. Values can be entered as whole numbers or decimals. Slope values are represented as rise over run. For example, for a slope value of 4:1, enter it as 0.25. Values entered directly as run over 1 or grade percentage are automatically inverted to rise over run. If there's an issue with an input value, a red icon is displayed next to the value. Hover the cursor over the icon to see why the value did not pass validation. Control profiles have a naming convention. A profile name prefix of ZCP- is hard-coded into all control profile names. Z puts the control profiles at the bottom of the profile list alphabetically, and CP stands for control profile. The Control Profile Editor will only interact with profiles that have a ZCP- profile name prefix and do not have any vertical curves. Profiles created by any other method must be named or renamed with a profile name prefix of ZCP- in order to be recognized by the Control Profile Editor. Let's take a look at the Control Profile Editor interface. This is a modeless dialog box, so I can interact with Civil 3D while this box is open. You can see I can go in here and select a subassembly, and the box still floats around here. If I want to minimize it to the taskbar, I can do that. Bring it back up here. So how we use this is we have two tabs here. We have the Create tab and the Edit tab. So if I want to create a control profile, I'm going to go ahead and pick my main alignment here. And I'm going to pick my proposed mainline alignment. Then I have to give it a name, and you can see it has the ZCP- prefix. And I need to give this a name. I'm going to call it Ditch Slope Right. And you can see my station is already populated here by the limits of my main alignment. If I want my individual control profile to be at different stations, I can either type it in the box here, or I can use the button to go ahead and pick on screen. Then I have a box here for the default value, and this is the value it'll give for the whole profile. You'll see when we go to the Edit tab how we can change the values at different stations. But for now, I'm going to give it a slope of 4 to 1 here. Then all I need to do is click the Create button. And I'm going to get a message profile created once it's finished. And if I go over to the Edit tab now, I can add more values if I want to. You can see I have my alignment I can choose at the top here. And you can see it doesn't show me the whole list of alignments in the drawing. It's only showing me alignments that have control profiles assigned to them. So I can only pick my proposed main line at this point. Under the control profile section, I can pick each of my control profiles. I only have one at this time. To edit this, I can enter in a station value and a default value for my and click the Add button. And you can see it added the value and the station in here. I can go ahead and keep adding values if I want to. Then when I'm done, I have the option to make a profile view showing the profile if I want to. This is not required because you can edit in this box, but if you wanted to edit it graphically, we can go ahead and pick the Create button here. Let me set some styles. And I'll click the Create button and I'll place it right there. And remember, we can keep this box open, so I'm going to slide it over and I can go into my file here. You can see I have my profile set up in a profile view. And so now I can edit this either in the table or I can edit it graphically. So if I select this, go ahead and grip edit it. And I go back to my control profile dialog box here. There's a refresh button at the bottom. Since this is a modeless dialog, it's not going to update in real time. I'm going to have to hit this refresh button. So let me do that. And you can see now it updated the value here that I changed with the grip edit. If I don't like that, I can simply just click in the box and change it back. Hit the refresh button. If I go back to the Create tab, we created one at a time here. There's a way to create multiple control profiles at once. And we have some options down here in the bottom of the dialog box. We can use the default settings, or we can create it from a file. And let's view the default settings. It's going to open up a CSV file. This is just an example here that's built in to the command. And we have a few different columns here, and this is how we build it. The first column is the Create column. If we want these profiles to be created, we'll put an X in that column. And the reason why there's a choice here is you may have a file like this already filled out, but you may not want all of these created at a certain time, so you can just go ahead and remove the X for the ones that you don't want to be created. Second column is the profile suffix. This is going to give the name of the profile, so we already know that it's going to be ZCP and a dash. Then after that dash, it's going to be whatever is in this column, whatever that is the name. Default is going to be your default value for the profile. And then the description is just a short description of what this is. You can see this one is a shoulder foreslope, left shoulder foreslope. It just gives a little description so you know what you're looking at here. This is the default file. If we want to create our own, we would do a save as here. Save this as another file, another CSV, and then edit it. We don't want to edit the default one. I'm going to go ahead and close this though without saving any changes. So if I want to use the default one, I just need to check this box, and you can see everything grays out here, and all I have is the Create button. So if I were to click create, it would create all those profiles that were in that CSV file that we just looked at. If I want to choose another CSV, and you can create multiple CSVs for different scenarios or different assemblies, just check this from file box and go ahead and click the browse button, and I can browse to another CSV file here. And I would just do the same thing. I would click create to create the control profiles. So when I think I have everything ready, I can go ahead and close the dialog box. If I want to edit again, I can just simply open up the control profile editor, choose my control profile, and go back in here and edit the values. I'll close this again. And then how this works is, for this example here, I'm pretending these are slopes instead of elevations. So these are slope values. And if I go and look at my subassembly here, if I look at my subassembly properties, in my parameters, I have a ditch slope here. And if you're just using the parameter in the subassembly properties, you're just using one value here for the whole assembly, for the whole length that you're applying it to in the corridor. By using the control profile, you can have multiple values instead of just having one. So that would allow me to create a smooth transition. So in order to do that, I'm going to click cancel out of here. Then I'm going to apply that control profile as a target in my corridor. If I go to my corridor properties, and I go to my target, you can see I have, let's close these left ones, go to my right ones. I have my right daylight with subpace here. And you can see I have the option here for the ditch slope control profile. So if I select that, I could go down here, find my control profile, and use that as the target. So now what that's going to do, it's going to use the values in this profile instead of the value in the subassembly parameter box for my slope, for my ditch slope. So now I would just click OK, and it would be applied. And then you can use that for various other purposes. Let's take a look again. We have some other options in this. Now this needs to be built into the subassembly in order to use this functionality. The control profiles are not going to work with every subassembly, but many of the MDT subassemblies are set up for this purpose. You can see I have different other targets I can do here. I have width instead of slope that I can use. I have some options here. You can use the profile as a logical switch by putting a 1 or a 0 as the value. You can see I have different options for different subassemblies.